What's up, YouTubers? Oh my, today do we have a winner. This is the Kunwu Padre. It's a multi-deployment frame lock. So yeah, this is a frame lock. It's got spidey flicking. It's got thumb deploying. And it's got a top flipper that just won't quit. In fact, let me just show this left-handed. The top flipper actually works better left-handed. And then the spidey, or not the spidey flick, but basically the thumb hole works fantastic. Of course, you got the issue with the frame lock pressure, and the detent's so good. It is tough to do, but if you kind of move your thumb back here over, you can do that spidey flick on there. So, kind of jumping a little bit ahead into this, but oh my gosh, this has been a 2 month carry for this blade, and I just didn't want to put it down. It was really, really good. So this knife has a 3.37-inch blade of Vanex super clean steel. It's a super steel. It's ground to a beautiful high flat grind. Really, really effective. Slices like nobody's business. The thing weighs 5.1 ounces, and it prices at $300 US. So it's a little bit higher in your price range. Like I said, I carried this for 2 months, and wow. In terms of some kind of comparables or alternatives, in terms of just pure cutting performance, the Kaiser Sheepdog with the high flat grind, it actually has thinner blade stock, and it does have that thin slicing capability. And when you do the cleaver without the flipper there, it does handle food prep. Very similar. There's obviously a lot less belly on that one, but then also another Chinese made knife, which is, as we start to enter into the frame locks here, is the Archbishop from Ferrum Forge. A little bit bigger blade, thicker blade stock, but it also has that high sweeping, that high sweeping belly there. It does behave very similarly. This one priced for $280, weighs 4.8 ounces against the 5.1 for this one. So similar in weight and that sort of thing. It does have that high flat grind, like I said. So that is definitely a similar one in the Chinese arena. And then in terms of like an American-made knife, this is in a different price class these days. The Koenig Arius used to be like $600. They're now like $900 or whatever. But this is the non-flipping Arius, and again, it's a very similar in terms of bearing action. It's a very well made frame lock, possibly for me the best made production frame lock. But those are really some options. And of course, and the Arius was 4.7 ounces, so again, pretty similar to that 5.1. And it's got that big belly. So let's jump into this knife. The pros of this are just going to destroy the cons of this one. The action I already talked about. The multiple deployment methods. The detent is beautiful. And one thing I do like about this is it actually has a little bit more controlled redeployment back. You just need to give it just a little bit, but on the bearings. Whereas, actually, let me show the Arius real quick. And I won't say it's a con on the Arius, but it definitely is more of a guillotine shut. All you have to do is hold it. And this one, it's nice and controlled. Also, there's probably a lot of grit in there from my pocket dust. Yeah. So, by the way, this is milled out nicely for those people that like the milling out. I do. Sorry, Dave, if you're watching this. I know you don't. No worries. Hey, this is ambidextrous. I already showed that. The handling, the pocket clip is also reversible. Actually, this was kind of clever design the way they have this hooked on there, and it is fully reversible. So yeah, you just move the pocket clip to the side. So as far as the left-handed goes, in fact, we'll just jump into the next one. As far as left-handed goes, this is probably about as good of a frame lock that is not actually made with the lock side moved over to the other side. In terms of that capability. I literally, I'm not the greatest at left-handed, but this one really works, especially by like I said, the top flipping, incredible, love it. The texturing on this is excellent. It's kind of it's a diamond pattern, but it's kind of turned sideways to the frame, and it's not like a lot of times you'll have diamond pattern this way, but it actually goes this way. Very, very effective, very comfortable. It has a crenellated backspacer here that gives you texture, but it's not uncomfortable. It's excellent. It has an integrated lanyard hole for those people that like doodads. I do on smaller knives, but this is a bigger knife. Doesn't really need it, so not a big deal. This Vanex blade will never rust on you. It does. It's interesting. As it gets human oils, you'll see it. In fact, right, maybe that little spot there. As it gets human oils on it and other oils, it creates an interesting patina, but a little bit of rubbing alcohol just gets that right off. And yeah, this thing will just never gonna rust. And that in combination with the titanium frame lock here is essentially this is going to be one of your rust proof. You know, if you're living in an eastern or western coast where you're going to have salt water and maybe a little bit more humidity, it's probably going to be better for you. They did rate the HRC at 60 to 62. I'm not really an HRC police officer out there, so I don't get too hung up about it. It did great. What I will say is I ran into a really big staple, like one of those big metal ones. I lost it here. But I thought it did chip it. And it actually just rolled it. So that when I took it to a ceramic strop, it stropped right out. And no, that what I thought was a chip is gone. And so I was very impressed actually with the heat treat in terms of that goes. So yeah, really like that. The ergonomics I already talked about are excellent. This is chamfered all the way around for his comfort, and hers too, right? But in the back position here, comfortable, and then as you move forward to that upper position, also very comfortable. A generous choil there, which just it's nothing's wrong. I mean, on this, I really can't tell you. And the pocket clip is actually quite tough. The bee blast on this has been pretty good. I got a few little dingers on there, but this thing hit a lot of door jams, and that means car doors, and that means doors in the house. It's just hit a lot of doors and snap back really well. It's very thin and light, but sturdy. And like I said, the fact that it's reversible, so also another massive pro on this one. The only cons on this knife that I've been able to find, in all honesty, well, there's always the availability. This one, of course, when you make a really banger knife, it has to come from far away and goes through an interesting shipping process, and we'll talk about that in a sec. Is availability. These are kind of tough to get a hold of, but really, for me, it was the shipping process itself. And I will say, when I ordered it, this was, I don't know, sometime back in October of 2023, they said, we're starting to process this, and they sent me an email that said, do not follow the tracking that it gets sent to you in your email. So of course, what do you do? The first thing, you're like, wait a minute, you go look at the tracking, and it, like, after a week or so after ordering it, because they tell you it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks for you to get this, because they're shipping it by probably mail van from China. And it was just very interesting to hear, or to see that it showed up in somewhere like Lithuania, but I don't think it really did go to Lithuania, because when you track it, it was like in Lithuania like a week later or something. I don't know if they have some part made there. It was some Eastern European country, and they were kind of right. Don't follow it. Just ignore it and wait, and it will show up. It was reliable, and I haven't heard of anybody else's not showing up. So, as an everyday carry knife goes, relatively tough, thick enough stock, nice high flat grind. The clip point, by the way, was pretty solid. It's not one I'd be wanting to pry on, but it's not so thin. But it slices so well. It cut food amazingly. Really, I just find it difficult to see how this knife isn't going to win my knife of the year. It's excellent in every single capacity. And in all honesty, one of the knives that I didn't talk about, because I don't own one as a comparison or alternative, is the CKF, the Custom Knife Factory Evo, by Rotten Designs. And this is obviously geared towards killing that knife, and I think it's going to. That knife, I checked, goes in the $500 to $600 range now. It has that very, pronounced clip point up there. Very thin slicer. Of course, it does have a hollow grind versus this flat grind, but this flat grind is extremely effective. Nobody's going to bitch and moan about it. So, yeah, I do see this one as an Evo killer. And yeah, I hope that this was of use. If not interesting, if it was, I appreciate the like and subscribe. Have a great day.